Then she called me and told me that it was a birthday party in February of 2022 for her second daughter's birthday. And most of the children, pretty much all the children were at the house, the grandchildren. There was one little girl who was another, Annette's other sister's daughter was there. Now, this child had never been around Jarvis alone before. Or I think she might have been at the birthday party or something, adult birthday party, but it was at a hall. But she was at Shannon's home, and this young lady was so afraid. Shannon's telling me this. She ran upstairs, frantic and afraid and scared, and wanting to go home and wanted to call her mother because Jarvis touched her inappropriately while she was in the basement playing with the puppy. While this little group, now Jarvis was on the game, he wasn't thinking about going up there with Shannon or nothing. Shannon says all of a sudden, while she's up there, she's trying to calm this little girl down and talk to her. Jarvis comes and knocks on the door and says, "What's wrong with her?" And I said, "Shannon, why are you calling me? Is he dead or is he in jail?" Mm-hmm. No, he left. What you mean he left? Call the police. Let them know where he's going, what car he's in.
Right.
Well, I'm about to take her home, then I'm going to call my mama. What? So I called her back like maybe 30 minutes later. Like, did you call to bring the kids home tomorrow morning? She going to talk to him. I'm like, no, y'all don't need to talk to him. You need to contact the police. She did not contact the police. I found out later the police were never contacted. The next day when I called Shannon, I talked to her. She said, my mama talked to them and said the kids ended up telling us they lied. They was mad because he wouldn't give them no money. So I called Annette and I said, Annette, are you guys going to call the police? She said, yes, we're handling. I'm going to call the police. So I left it alone. Like, she going to call the police. Shannon assured me that the police had been called. They were involved. There was an investigation going on. All of this. This was in February 22. Well, in April of 22, I called Shannon in a lie. The police were never called. The children were not receiving counseling. Nothing had happened. So I went to the Clinton Township Police and I told them that I wanted to make a report. They told me I couldn't make a report because I didn't have enough information about the child who actually accused him of the sexual abuse. I said, but the other children also accused him of sexual abuse. They said, well, they didn't happen that night. And I'm like, he said it would probably be best for you to call CPS. So I called CPS and I told Shannon I called CPS. Mm-hmm. I said, if y'all didn't call, I told you to call the police. I told you to get the kids help. You didn't do it. So I'm calling CPS. I'm not only you, but I'm calling them on your mama too. Because it happens, whatever's happening at your house is most likely happening at your mother's house. They never called. And then that's when Kiwana got involved. I didn't, like my husband knew what was going on. And a few other people who knew Shannon because she had told them stories. Mm-hmm. But this is how Kiwana got involved. So I'll let Kiwana tell what happened on her end.
So then I end up going over there to drop off Neziah some clothing. And once I got there, Shannon pulled me to the side and said, I got to tell you something. And I go, okay, what's going on, little cuz? And she said, that Janelle and called protective services on me and lied and said that Jarvis was doing something to the kids. I said, what? What do you mean she called protective services to say Jarvis was doing something to the kids? How would that come about? So that's when she went to tell me, it was a party, and she explained that what happened at the party, and that they end up questioning the children, and her daughter, along with Neziah, along with my other little cousin, which I've never met, had expressed to her that Jarvis offered them monies to do things inappropriately. She said, however, she found later on that her daughter was lying. And I said, Shannon, kids don't lie about stuff like that. But a child not gonna come and tell that something like that happened and just be lying. You need to further investigate. No, that Janelle just trying to start some stuff. I said, no, I don't feel like she trying to start no stuff. I feel like she care and concerned about what's going on in the household as far as the children. This is outside of you and her relationship. This is about looking out for the children. And so we began to go back and forth. And I became what she like to call it, the op, being as though now I'm taking up for the kids. So I contacted Janelle and said, what's going on? Because we hadn't talked for a little while. And I said, explain to her what I had heard and what Shannon had said, and she told me what happened and what transpired. So that's when I called Protective Services.
It was the initial incident happened in February of 2022. I was told that
Right.
the authorities were involved. When I found out that the authorities were not involved, Shannon was lying to me.
22 or 24?
22.
22.
Okay.
So in April of 22, I figured out another incident happened where a child was doing some sexually inappropriate things. And I said, well, what's going on with the case? And isn't she in counseling? And you need to go to the police and take the phone. She sending pictures to somebody on Instagram. She had told somebody else. She tell people this stuff like it's nothing. Like it's the normal everyday thing. She told somebody who wouldn't even related her to this story, and they called me to tell me what she said. And then I called her to ask her about it. So that's when I called CPS in April when I found out she had lied to me.
April of which year?
2022.
Mm-hmm.
So then Kiwana called me. I don't even think it was like maybe 3-4 weeks later. Kiwana called. Other family members had already called and were calling when all of this was going on because I wasn't getting any response from CPS. The CPS worker that I talked to told me the children denied it. I said, so look at the adults. If the children are not going to tell you I said, would you take the children out of the household and question them? No. I'm like, because they're afraid to say anything because they're in the Shannon in the net looking right in their face. Then I said, if the children are not going to tell it because they're afraid, then start looking into the adults. Well, we haven't found any credibility of the complaint.